This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, December 15th from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson.
From Reynoldsburg, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast all about home automation, home technology, all the good stuff. And it is, I just realized, December. Did you guys know that it was December?
Halfway through the month, Seth.
I started my Christmas shopping today.
I had done a couple of things, and I stashed things because I don't want anybody to find them. And the problem is I don't know where I stashed them.
Oh, that is a problem.
So I even found gifts this year, like halfway through the year, where we were cleaning things up, and I'm like, oh, Merry Christmas. My wife is like, what is this? It's like I forgot all about this thing. It was in this bucket in the garage that I didn't want anybody to look in.
You're gonna be like one of those stories we hear about like 20 years from now. They're gonna be like, I was moving out of my house and I found this brand new iPhone 3G.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I probably do need to start on some things. The Amazon guy has been coming to our house quite a bit.
Yep.
Recently, so we've got a lot of cardboard.
Less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. I don't think you have much time. So
time. What is time?
Yeah, I mean, I was already getting Amazon shipment, the delivery estimates for like after Christmas for like some stuff. It was like, this is not going to arrive before Christmas, just so you know.
I think the post office last cutoff date is December 15th. So
well,
you have time.
I have until the show comes out. So the show may come out, or I may not come out, and it'll be Christmas shopping.
If it doesn't come out till Saturday, that's because Seth was doing shopping and mailing.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to give a shout out to the delivery people, though. They've been working hard to get us the packages on time. So, I know they'll get to relax in January, but, I give them a lot of respect.
Yep. We got our snack boxes outside. We've got the, what's it called? Like some water bottles, some goldfish, some popcorn, things. Good things.
That's a good idea. I've been meaning to do that myself.
I would do that, but the neighbors would probably steal it. It's nice to live in a neighborhood where you can do things like that.
The problem here is that it freezes. So if I put, bottles of liquid and stuff out, they might burst. So
explode or yeah. That's no good. That would be a very cruel joke to play on someone who's just trying to bring your Christmas presents to you.
Or like, do you want like a frozen bottle of water when it's 25 degrees out? Probably not.
Right. Yeah, probably not. Well, it's usually a little bit hotter here, but it's very cold, and it's supposed to rain a lot this weekend. There's some kind of like cyclone thing moving through. I don't know. It's not a hurricane, but it's going to be like swirly and windy and giant waves. So it should be fun.
It sounds like a hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we got a bunch of news stories here, kind of like dumped on us from the last week. So what do you guys say we jump into these HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
All right, new product from Unify. And, every now and then this company comes out and surprises us. And this one's cool. I like this one. It's a cable internet modem, right? It's a multi-gigabyte cable internet modem. It is a rack-mountable multi-gigabit cable internet modem. Oh my God. Like, why? Why is it 2023? And this is the first time I think not the first time, but why is it taking so long? Why isn't this just like an option all the time? I don't understand.
I have never seen this myself. I mean, I'm sure it existed before and everything like that, but this is honestly a genius solution. I was honestly hating on the price too at first. It's $279, which I feel like is a lot for a modem. But at the same time, if you were to buy a modem and then get like a custom faceplate for your rack, it would probably be like $279. Mm-hmm. So honestly, this is not a bad deal. And it sounds like you don't even need to technically be in the Unify system to use it if you just wanted a rack-mounted modem. You do need their cloud gateway to control it, but I don't see why you would need necessarily to do that with a modem. I
think it looks slick too. Like if you have this rack mounted, it's much better than my modem I have hidden behind the monitor that's on my rack. But, I think it would fit nicely in a rack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is that none of them fit nicely in the rack. And here we are in the year 2023 of our Lord, and there's no rack mount. This is the only one. Like, I know there's been some other ones. I remember seeing Comcast at Cedia had in their, they used to have this like X1 booth, his big X1 booth that showed up. They would show off rack mounted cable boxes that were like maybe 1 or 2 RU and like 20 inches deep. It was ridiculous. And then they had one of these in there for a long time, but I don't think they ever released it. I think there was a Netgear number of years back. I'm not even sure when, like a Comcast Netgear one that I may or may not have been rack mountable. And the only other one I've seen is some guy who will take apart an Aris modem and put it inside this custom enclosure and make a 1U rack mount thing out of it. And that's like $400 for that. It's just a bunch of metal, you know. It's like, congratulations, you got a rack mount modem that costs $100 from Best Buy and a bunch of metal. That's $400, sir.
And then when you get a new modem, you can't use it again.
Yeah, exactly. It avoids the warranty probably. But this is great. I mean, it even has a little stupid touchscreen that they have on all their products now. 1RU. Looks like it has fan ports on the front of it because, you know, like, why not? You know, for that price, you may as well, right? I don't know. It looks great to me.
Yeah. I say this is a solid buy. If I didn't have fiber, then I would probably consider this, but I got fiber, guys. And this does not support fiber. If we did not make that clear, it is cable only.
Cable only. It's the DOCSIS 3.1 modem. And then you bring that into like one, I guess their cloud gateway thing. What do they call that? The Unified Dream Machine. Yeah. So yeah, $279. Not a bad price for what you get here. Has a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, so that's nice. It'll get you the fast download speeds, and then you know your cable company will probably only support 15 up or something with that speed because that's what they do. But you know, if you have cable, that's all you have. But at least you have an option to rack mount it now, which is really nice. So. Good job, Ubiquity. Great job. Speaking of updates and everything, Apple has updated the Apple TV app. I guess they've done it for a little easier navigation. They redesigned the Apple TV app that kind of aims to make the navigation a little more intuitive and seamless for end users. And the update includes a sidebar, which features a unified guide called Home, where users can access all the content, including Apple Originals, subscribed channels, and connected app. It also includes user profiles, so you can switch back and forth between those a little easier than before. And it also has an updated store tab that combines movies and TV shows into one offering, which kind of makes sense. You know, at this point, like it's media at this point. It's not like everything else is lumped in. All you have to do is wait, I guess, because eventually you'll have to update to 17.2, but you can go into settings now and update to 17.2 and see these updates. I've kind of tinkered around with this a little bit right before the show. I saw this story hit and I'm like, oh, I've been seeing people talk about this. I'm going to play around with it. It looks okay. It's nice. There's a nice little, like if you press and hold down the TV button on your remote, you get that little slide out on the right-hand side. And there's a couple of different menu options up at the top. One is the normal setting and a setting thing, like where you can switch the profile and set up the audio and all that stuff. And there's another thing. If you swipe over, it brings you into like HomeKit devices and you can see your cameras and everything. So it's kind of nice. I like it.
I've been seeing a lot of people online that do not like it. But I don't have any personal experience with it. I don't think I've ever purposely used the Apple TV app. I think I've just like, I'm so used to like the Roku and everything where I just go to the specific app I want that I've never touched this. Maybe I'll have to download the new update and see what it's about.
I'm actually going to have to check out my Apple TV. I don't even think I've used that thing in a few months. I basically just have it sitting there for Matter, Thread, type support. Every now and then I'll turn it on. I'll see what this is about.
Yeah, the little slide out thing is within the Apple TV app itself. But the other thing I'm talking about is more system level. And it's just like up in the right-hand corner, there's actually a clock now. I don't know if that's new, but it's got my little picture, my profile picture, my Memoji or whatever they call them. And it says it's what time it is. Guys, it's late. I don't know if you noticed we started this recording pretty late. But yeah, it's got all that up there. And if you press and hold, that's where the little, like it's basically the drop down menu that you'd have if you swiped from that area on your iPhone. It's kind of like the same thing. It's one of those looking things. So far so good. There will probably be a couple annoyances, but I use it all the time for Plex. Pretty much this is where all our media lives, and then we've got the apps and stuff for Disney and Netflix on there. So that's where we go to watch TV these days.
Have you tried Zoom at all since they released that, Seth?
I have not, but I've thought about it. That'd be kind of fun. I have the projector all set up in here now, so like I would get a big giant screen. I could have used it for this call. In fact,
my next conference room job, I'm just going to do Apple TVs everywhere.
Yeah, it's happening. And we're talking a little bit before the show that like they've introduced VPNs and like you can actually download a VPN app and VPN back to your house without having a travel route or anything. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe you still need a travel router because you still have to get past the type in your room name and how many days you're staying thing to get into the hotel Wi-Fi. So we'll see. But it's cool that you can just use it in VPN straight back to your house and look at all your media there. Hey, moving on. We've got some interesting industry news from Cedia, out of C Pro. According to a biannual survey conducted by Cedia, the custom integration industry in the U.S. is estimated to have 20,000 integration companies that drive $29 billion into the market, up from $20.1 billion. Don't want to sacrifice that one in there from the previous report. The survey was conducted by Anchorage Consulting in affiliation with Butler University's Lacey School of Business. It included responses from 111 qualifying integrators, as well as insights from manufacturers and distributors. I have heard that $20,000 number of integrators companies thrown around a little bit in the past couple of years, and yeah, I think it's from the sources I heard. It was like, okay, they probably know, but I always thought there was a lot less than that in here, at least here in the States. But having 20,000 integrators, and I think that $1 billion thing is always thrown off by like ADT, which they always lump in the entire earnings of ADT into the top CE Pro 100. It's like, oh, no one's ever going to be number one. Thank you, ADT. Why are you there? It's like $1 billion company. Like, go away. This is for integrators.
That's a pretty impressive number, actually, for a dying industry. I just wanted to say that to piss off some people. I'll
have you know, I contributed at least 2% of this $29 billion.
2%, huh?
2%?
Yeah. Just by myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Look out.
Right. Watch out, man. Ohio. Let's see. It says on average, this survey said 78% of revenues in the industry come from residential projects, while 22% come from commercial residential products. So like that tracks with what mostly I've seen. Like here in the States, it's different overseas, but here in the States, most of the guys focus on resi or commercial, and there's really no crossover. It's very rare. Mm-hmm. And if you do crossover, it's like a light commercial thing, which they try and dub this.
It's for somebody that you know, or you did their house or something. Like, you could do my office.
You can do my sports bar. It's like, come on in. You know what speakers are. Hook these up.
It's all wires.
Yeah, I just need a bunch of TVs. Throw them up. So yeah, like it happens so often. That we see that it's kind of like they've tried to dub this resi-mercial thing. I hate that word. It's like an awful word. I don't know why they are so intent on like getting that out there, but just say light commercial. It's a lot easier. Anyway, and there's a labor shortage. It mentions here, industry is facing high demand for technicians because
nobody knows about us.
Nobody knows about us. Nobody has been trained in this industry.
And it's severely underpaid, but we won't talk about that.
Yep. Such is life. Gavin, if you're ever interested, I mean, half the stuff you do
make a lot less money.
Hey,
a lot more stress too.
That $29 billion, sounding pretty good now.
It's a big number.
Nothing better than somebody contacting you on Friday night because they can't watch their TV.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what though? That happens to me anyway, and I'm doing support for free. Whenever
you're already an integrator.
Yeah, whenever people are having issues with their TV or something like that, they seem to call me anyway. So I might as well start billing people and make some of that money.
Oh no, as an integrator, you don't bill for that.
No,
you don't make any money.
I'm gonna put them on you know what? I'm gonna start putting people on a subscription service to call my phone for support.
There you go. That's what you need to do.
Pay $15 a month, and you can call me when you have questions about your technology. And
3D printers, Eero routers, all good.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. There you go. And
I'll tell you what not to do.
Because I'm giving away a lot of free advice lately. I don't know. I gotta monetize this somehow, which reminds me, we have a Patreon. If you go and sign up, patreon.com/HomeTech.fm.
You give money to Gavin to hear him talk.
Yeah, Gavin, you need to do this because you need your 22% of that $29 billion.
Yeah, come on, you gotta be a big shot like me someday.
I gotta stop giving it away for free from now on. Venmo me before you get an answer. You ask the question, I will give you an estimate for the answer, then you Venmo me, and then you get your answer, like, hey, my TV's doing this. Oh, that's a $5 question. There you go.
And my head's already crunching. Like, what domain can we get? Like,
AskGavin.com.
Gavin. All right, we'll move it on here. I got this one labeled USA, because in the USA, in like one tiny part of San Francisco, Google is reportedly testing super fast 20 gigabits per second Wi-Fi fiber to a few hundred homes there in San Francisco. The cost is crazy. Well, it's not. I mean, 20 gigabits, it's crazy, but paying $250 a month might be crazy for some people as well, and includes unlimited data usage. Their service being tested in select areas of San Francisco as part of Google's efforts to improve Wi-Fi and broadband accessibility globally. I mean, if they wanted to do that, all right, Google. So there's this funny story too. We have to talk about this one. So like Google basically like did a bunch of fiber work in, what was this? Like Ohio or something? No, Iowa?
I think it was like Kentucky or something.
Louisville. Yeah. So Louisville Highlands neighborhood, they went around and they did what's called, and I've never heard of this. It's called like shallow trenching or something like that. And I guess they were supposed to dig down 4 inches, and they only decided to make their cuts 2 inches. And like if you look at the pictures and you kind of know what you're looking at, these are like cuts in the road. They, instead of running their fiber like under the ground, like normal places,
which is like what literally every other company in the world does.
Yeah, they just used a saw and cut a hole, like a trench, like a saw cut, and then shoved a fiber wire down 2 inches, and then gooped over it with this. I forget what it's called. It's like this road goop that you can buy, and it'll fix those road. It'll seal up those road things, and you actually have to have it. Well, yeah, I mean, you actually have to have a cut for it to like go down there and like get into, and like there's no cut here because it's 2 inches and there's a wire like floating around in there. So it's like, yeah, it's popping up everywhere, and they're upset about it. And then Google's like, well, we could fix this, or we're just not going to do this anymore. So they laid off everybody and they pulled out of Louisville. So yeah, be wary if you're going for that Google fiber, because they may just decide not to do it if their install doesn't go as planned. Can you imagine?
It's so ridiculous. I've never heard of this for like installing anything, because you would think like if you're just installing it right underneath the road anyway, like if you were to go the recommended 4 inches, you think that would be awful anyway, because if you're tearing up the road, I feel like you would damage it at some point. And like you probably have like markings and know where it's at and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It seems like an awful idea.
I was thinking of snow plows, but this is Louisville, right? They don't have much snow down there, do they?
Yeah, so.
A plow could come along on the road then and scrape that, and next you know, internet's out for the neighborhood. Like
my fiber's gone.
It looks like a dumb idea.
Yeah. Last summer, Google Fiber pitched a solution for this problem that it created. It would rip out all the epoxy and fill the trenches with asphalt. And so this guy says, that seems like an obvious way to fill up the hole in the road. And they built out the road and decided it was too much, so they're just not going to do it. Bye, Google.
Typical Google.
It's amazing. Killed by Google, internet in Louisville. So sorry, city of Louisville. No fiber for you, I guess. This is crazy. This is a crazy story. You have to read this thing. It's just keeps going on and on and on. So 20 gigabits sounds nice until you read a story like this. And
I was looking at some new tools. So I've been doing a decent amount of like landscape lighting and stuff like that. And like digging the trenches is one of the worst parts about anything landscaping. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking at a mini trencher, and it's like a handheld gas powered trencher that's recommended to dig like 4 to 5 inches down. And I just have this visual in my head of Google fiber technicians like using this little trencher thing like on roads to run the fiber, because it's 4 inches. I mean, that's good enough, right? So I guess I could just be a fiber installer.
I mean, that slice in the road that they have a picture of, that totally looks like just a concrete saw. Like that's what you would use to do that.
That's crazy.
And then they have it's the same. Like I used to install those loops for drive-thrus, and it's the same thing. I would make those cuts all the time. What's crazy is that it just goes, like you said, goes across the road, and that somebody could just, if they go to resurface the road, I mean, I guess maybe they don't, like here in Florida, they rip off the first couple of inches of road and recycle all that and melt it down and then like re-pour it somehow. I don't know how it works, but I'm not a road engineer here. But
you look like a construction worker.
But it's just so crazy. It's just crazy. Like, who thought this was a good idea? 16 months.
Typical
16
6
months.
inches. So that mini trencher wouldn't work for me, unfortunately.
Let's see. All right, let's move on here from Google and talk about something that actually cool. I have this one labeled Canada, which because it came from Canada, and a researcher at the University of Alberta has developed a wireless light switch that can reduce the cost of wiring in a house up to 50%. It says unlike traditional wireless switches that require batteries, this switch just harvests the energy from ambient sources like radio signals, waves, and everything, and it includes a little RF transmitters that basically communicate back to like outlets or switches that are in the wall that can be powered. And this seems really cool. Like, yes, you kind of run into a problem where like the switch isn't on the wall when you walk in the room, but then all you need is just to glue one in place and it's there. You don't have to worry about it. It's kind of cool.
Does it come with free 3M sticky tape?
Yeah, just stick it on there.
There you go.
Industrial
Perfect.
kind.
Sold.
Yeah.
No, this is actually really cool that it harvests energy from like other things that may be broadcasting in your home. Like, I know we've heard of wireless charging before. Well, I think they have like a base station and it will actually broadcast something and, you know, your device can charge off of that broadcast. But this is a little different, I think. And because it looks like it's grabbing energy from just random things around you. Like, I'm curious to see what kind of things in your environment you have to have that it can pick the energy off of. Like, does it get charged when your microwave's running, for example, or something like that, right? Like, I don't know. Right? That would be funny, you know? How do I got to charge the lights? Let me set the microwave to 10 minutes.
Some popcorn real quick.
Yeah. You know, but it's really cool. It also reminds me, like, I remember when we read this story, I talked about the Zigbee green energy switches. And those switches, I was always interested in. I haven't had a chance to look really into them, but basically from the fact of flicking the switch generates enough energy for that switch to transmit a signal. So they never had any batteries or anything. It was just from the flicking of the switch. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
No, that stuff is really cool. I'm super happy that you can do it because there's not a lot of just like simple technology solutions that work like that.
This we were talking about this a little bit in the hub, and Richard made a good comment about this being, you know, really good in for what was he talking about? Places like
temporary
MDUs,
setups,
temporary
sliding
setups, yeah.
walls, stuff
That's
like
what
that.
I thought of too. Because like for your house doesn't really make a lot of sense because you're not really saving that much wiring for like a single house, right? If you just eliminate the switches. But if you could do like temporary setups, like, you know, people are evacuating or you need like medical hospital setups and stuff like that. Spirit Halloweens. I mean,
Spirit Halloweens. Yeah, this is very interesting. And there's another story kind of linked in here about Alberta becoming the first province to allow for this type of wireless electrical control in new homes. So it's interesting. Like right now, I you know, one of our code thing is like when you walk in the room, there has to be a light switch on the wall right there for you to turn on and off the lights. And it's like, well, if they allowed for this, then there would not be the wire in the wall, right? There wouldn't be anything there. It would just be a wall. And you would go and you'd pop this in and it would control whatever lights had the receiver technology built into it. So I think that could actually save quite a bit of wiring, actually. I mean, it definitely lower the costs of, especially like three-way wiring and that kind of thing. Fan lights, that kind of thing, where you're pulling more wire, more conductors, I guess. It could eliminate some copper costs and some labor costs. And then all you have to do, knock on wood, is go in and just program these things together, pair them together, and it should be good to go. Maybe. Because that's technology works all the time.
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, wireless power sounds like a good idea for your house.
Every random person would be able to do this easily. You know, you wouldn't need to hire an integrator. You see more jobs out the window, like
whatever.
Well, integrators are getting replaced by simple technology like this.
Integrators are going to be hired to run wires to replace these. Whoever built this house didn't put actual switches in. Now we have these wireless things that we can't get anymore. That's the only thing I would be worried about stuff like this is like just longevity of it, you know?
Yep.
Like, am I going to be able to find parts for it in 10 years?
Yeah, that's always the question. We had these like really cool lights locally that used like DMX. They were using low voltage for lighting. It's a little more popular now, but like maybe 10 years ago, not so popular. But you could run a low voltage wire from their modules, and it was like a DMX control thing. So easy enough to control through a control processor. And they were really well built and everything, but the problem is like they had all their fixtures and all their lights and everything. It's like, who wants to trust that? Like, I can always go to Home Depot and buy a light bulb.
Yep.
But now you're telling me I have to go buy the light bulb from this company when that one goes out or whatever. They did eventually go out of business. I forget their name. They were right up the road in St. Petersburg. I would get things to go train all the time.
And these aren't actual smart switches though. Like you can't control them or anything. I believe they're just like they transmit.
They're just sending a signal out to the little
So there's no integration with Home Assistant. There's no Matter, So
that would live on the other device. That would live on the light or the fan, right?
Yeah, you'd have that relay in there.
Yeah. Oh. That's where the smarts could be, because it would be powered all the time, supposedly. Like that would be powered from the mains power. These are just control points, which are wireless. That what is really cool is they don't take batteries. Like that is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go around changing. Like imagine this technology be built into like wireless shades, where you just don't ever have to change the batteries anymore.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I think it's more the technology than the actual device. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of cool devices, I guess we got to talk about this one. I know we talked about Homey Pro coming out in the past, but now a review is out from Kevin Purdy over at ours. And I don't know. I read through this thing. It seems like just a pretty straightforward review of a hub in the year 2023. Z-Wave, Zigbee, 433, 868 megahertz, or infrared, all in one device. There you go. It is a hub.
And Matter.
Okay. It has Wi-Fi too. It
matters too.
Yeah. So I guess it'll go in our It Matters section this week.
Yeah. No, I think some of the reviews started coming out in like August or September for this, but I just think it's a really interesting hub. I mean, it's basically what Home Assistant is, minus obviously the community and some of the open source nature of it. Mm-hmm. But you can still write, modules and plugins and whatever else for Homey as well. But it just has everything built into it. I mean, the professional model with everything is $400. So, I mean, it's definitely the most expensive hub outside of the professional integrator space. But, I mean, if you're looking for a hub that works locally and it just has everything in it already, this is probably your best bet. If you like to tinker with everything and you really want the Home Assistant feel, then you're going to go with Home Assistant.
Yeah. And even if you do go with Home Assistant, like the price, it adds up. So, for example, you'll buy your Raspberry Pi and case and all the different antennas the same as this antenna, because this has a lot of antennas in it, right? And by the time you're done, it's going to add up to almost like similar price, maybe not as expensive.
It's going to be like $200 to $300.
Yeah,
at least.
Exactly. Because this does RF and everything too, I believe you said, right?
Yeah, RF and IR.
Yep.
If I've got the Home Assistant Yellow, that's $250, and I don't remember if that comes with the commute module 4. I don't remember.
But that doesn't have all the same antennas either, right? Like you're not getting RF, you're not getting IR. Those antennas, you can start controlling things like fans or TVs or air conditioners, and that adds a lot of extra power to your hub, right? But then your hub also has to be centered in the room that can, IR's line of sight too, right? So,
right.
Yeah. But it
doesn't have this rainbow LED on it either.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least worth $100 right there. It's just like TJ's truck.
Not my truck yet, but maybe next week. No, I honestly, I think if I wasn't in the Home Assistant space, I would go with this. I mean, I feel like this is probably going to be like right under Home Assistant in terms of like recommendations and stuff, just because your other option is basically like Habitat at this point. Like, I guess you could technically use SmartThings or HomeKit, but like if you want like a wide community and a ton of devices, then you're basically stuck with like Habitat, Home Assistant, and now maybe Homey Pro.
I don't know. I think this may go to the top of the list above for most people above something like Home Assistant. Like, because Home Assistant is definitely okay for people who want to edit YAML. Okay, yeah. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't mean
I'll say nerds.
Thanks.
But this one, I mean, I go to their website and look at their integrations page, and there's like, here's Google Sheets, here's Discord, here's the robot mower thing that I have in my backyard. Like, it's all here. It looks great. It has a really welcoming, inviting interface and everything. UFI security, iCasa, all this is here. I just click on it, and it should be able to get that integration built into my Homey. And install that. Boom, done. So I don't know. Like, this may be a better option for people who aren't wanting to be the CTO of their a limited role CTO of their home, because you're still going to have to do stuff with this. Like, it's by no means feature complete with, or feature competitive, I guess, with something like Home Assistant, which has like every single integration on the planet.
But this is also new. You got to keep that in mind. Home Assistant's been 10 years. This has just come out. So, I mean, you got to give it time, and integrations keep getting added and stuff too, right?
A little rebuttal on that, though, because Homey itself is not new. This hub specifically is new, but I think it's only new to the States. I think it's been in Europe for a year or two. But yeah, it's new in general to the United States at least.
Yeah.
And I thought they had more of a like a software play for a while. They didn't have this hardware, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's been a while. I mean, they've got a lot of stuff here, and they don't have YAML, Gavin. It looks like they have something that looks just like JavaScript. So
don't hate the YAML. Hey, keep in mind, Home Assistant, if you're just going to use the basic Home Assistant, you don't have to deal with any of that stuff, right? But once you start seeing all the cool things you can do, then you jump into the YAML. That's when people start, getting confused because they see all these other cool things you can do. But Home Assistant, if you just use the base of it, it's pretty good. It's pretty friendly. It looks pretty good. And
it doesn't look as good as this, though.
Yeah, this interface, it's a little bit more polished interface, but it's nice. But you can do this kind of interface with Home Assistant too. Like, don't get me wrong, like they have themes and stuff that can build the cards how you want, but it's just time. It's always just time. This one's like a pre-built
so much time
theme. Can you change it to another theme? And when I say theme, more than just colors. Oh
no, you're probably living with what they give you there. I have no doubt. That's the. I mean,
you may get dark. Yeah, you'll get dark mode. You'll get light mode. I see that there, but I mean, pretty much this is it. And when you start, the hard thing about dashboards like this is when you start getting into a lot of devices, then your dashboard starts to get cluttered and it gets confusing and intimidating to people.
Yeah, I mean, here's a big difference between the websites. When I click and hover over this link called support on the Homey website, it says, we're here to help. If I go to the Home Assistant webpage, it's like, don't call us. We literally just do not even think that there's support for this product. Like, we will not support you.
Yeah. If you want support for Home Assistant, there's a whole forum full of people ready to argue with you. Like, you don't need to go to their support and argue with them.
Or ban you.
Yeah. Oh, don't go to their Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah, they're ruthless over there on the Facebook group.
Yeah. I don't even cough in the Facebook group.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that I mean, so like if you looked at between Home Assistant and Homey, like I think this is probably a more inviting hub solution than what you would get with Home Assistant. Now, can you get in the weeds with Home Assistant? Sure. Can you change your interface? All that? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they're going for here. And I think even some of their smaller hub devices, I was just reading it was $69 for their Homey bridge. I don't really know the difference between the two of them.
I think that's a similar thing, but it doesn't have as many antennas and it's a subscription.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah.
So that's the difference. Like the Homey Pro, like you just buy once and that's it.
So either way, hopefully they do well with this because it seems like a pretty cool product.
Yeah, we need like a good hub in the space. I mean, I know Home Assistant's good and all the nerds love it and everything, but like I can't tell like a normal person to go buy Home Assistant or to like install it. So like we need a good hub, and I don't think Habitat's there. Don't tell them I said that, but
no, Habitat. My view
the
of
interface is like the worst part.
Yeah, I think it's a great hub. Like it's a very powerful hub, but I think their interface. They need to hire a designer.
Yeah,
to come in and just revamp that interface.
They need some Richard money
because their development environment's awesome. Developing drivers and stuff is really good. It's just their interface, and I know they've always been they have had the view that with home automation you don't need an interface. That's what they've said in the forums before, right. But you do need an interface. People are designing dashboards and stuff, and they have some.
Unless you have the AI pin, you definitely need an interface.
Yeah, they need it.
Just look at like how much credit Savant has out there for their beautiful interface, and it's like it does nothing compared to like something like Habitat. Like it's not even on the radar. Habitat probably has more integrations than Savant does, and you can't even write drivers for Savant. Like it's not even. They have no developer. They don't even want a developer program. They will shun you out of the building, I suppose. But like a good interface goes a long way, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because people will think that you have a great product if the interface looks nice and polished and pretty. It's a fact of life. It's just how it is.
And if you need any proof of that, then you can go back and listen to our episodes talking about Blue Iris, because Blue Iris is like one of the most powerful camera NVRs ever. But it just, the interface makes it awful to use.
And I don't want to use it.
Don't want to use it. So interfaces are important.
Oh man. Interfaces are definitely important. I'm flipping through the Habitat website now, trying to find any example of the interface. Oh, I finally found it. It just looks like a bunch of squares.
Yeah.
They're not even centered on the phone, which is awesome.
No, their phone app was their interface. Honestly,
I mean, for the longest time, they didn't even have one. They said we don't really need one.
Yeah, I use Sharp Tools to interface with it and use that, but that was web based. But it was much better looking, much more powerful, and you can also even do something like use Habitat for their automations and devices and everything, and then have Home Assistant for your front end, and you have like an add-on that connects them, and you could use the Home Assistant interface, and everything's controlled through Habitat if you really wanted to do something like that. But they need to hire a designer, I think, just someone to come in and redraw that screen.
I was kind of hoping that somebody would make it. I haven't looked into it to see if anybody has done this yet, but if somebody made like a Home Assistant integration for Homey Pro, I would probably just use Homey Pro as my interface.
Yeah, that would probably. I mean, there are conversations that come up where I'm like, in my circles, where I'm like, oh, Home Assistant can do that, because I have Gavin telling me like all these cool stuff that Home Assistant can do, and I'm like, I open my mouth. I'm like, no, I can't even tell people to go down. Like, I couldn't tell an integrator to go down that road. Like,
no, because
what they're going to do is they're going to look at it and they're going to go to their website and they're going to click support for Home Assistant. And I mean, it's just it's a bad joke is what it is, but that's not how you. That's not their market. That's not what they want to be in.
But I'm looking. So the Homey Pro website has like a Homey Pro versus Home Assistant comparison.
Ooh.
Right. So they're obviously targeting, but it's all marketing. Like you take an awful looking Home Assistant dashboard that somebody just hasn't really designed, and you compare it to your best looking dashboard. Of course, you're going to win. Right? Like, you should see some of the dashboards coming out of Home Assistant. Like, they're crazy what they do, you know?
And to their credit, they do have like this last year, they have hired full-time like designers and people to work on that so it can be implemented. But that takes time. That is not something that, like, you can literally spend weeks and weeks and weeks working on like a light bulb switch inside of an app just to make sure that it's like the right interaction and the right way it should work for all of these use cases that people would need it in something like Home Assistant.
Like, they've obviously changed the Home Assistant theme to compare it. Like, it's not a fair comparison because they chose an ugly Home Assistant theme and they put it as this is what Home Assistant uses. And it's like, but ours looks like Apple Home or Google Home or one of them, you know, like we have the nice squares and, you know, the nice icons. It's like, I can redesign that one in Home Assistant using the standard stuff anyway. Like, I don't see what the comparisons are kind of off, right? But they both have their markets. I think they both can coexist and they both have their markets.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you know, there is an official connect your Home Assistant devices to Homey integration on TJ. So,
all right.
So there you go.
Well,
yeah, you can just click one button and load it up.
Shouldn't have spoke to. I spoke too soon. I don't want to spend $400 right now. So I'll hold off.
That is not the Home Assistant app. Like that looks more like that looks like a better version of Habitat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is they took like ugly dashboards. They made them as ugly as possible. Like, I don't even know what this tablet app's from.
It's close, but it does not look at all like what comes from.
Like they took this stuff looks like, it's like the Habitat theme applied
It looks
to
like the HomeTech theme.
applied to a Home Assistant dashboard. You know, and if they're going to do this, don't show the dashboard with the graphs on it, because that's actually pretty cool on Home Assistant. When you have those history graphs on your icon, on your tiles,
Yeah.
you know, like you don't want to show that, because then I'm looking at that going, hey, that's cool. How can I do that in Homey? Oh, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with this Home Assistant theme or whatever they've applied, it looks better. Oh man!
But no, it's
poor Habitat. We're beating up on them. I mean,
Habitat, like I said, Habitat is a great hub, very powerful. It's their interface I always had an issue with.
It's not even centered, Gavin. It's like they have the same squares, and it's not even centered. I don't understand.
They need a designer. That's all.
It's their hero image. Like you don't do this.
Yeah, that's not their focus, though.
This is going to be our show note. This is going to be our picture in our show notes. I just can't. I can't even. I mean, come on. Center the buttons.
We're going to trigger Richard's ADD. You know, he's going to look at this picture and go, "Oh my God, I can't watch it."
It's the hero on their website, and it's also, if you go to the App Store, it's the first image you see when you go to the App Store to download their app. It's like, hey, we've got these nice squares, we've got this nice clean interface, and the squares are shifted to the left, like they're floating left. Like there's 10 pixels or whatever on this right hand side, like, and the buttons don't even line up. I mean,
their app was just a wrapper to their web interface, really. Like that's the other thing is, like their app is not, I don't want to beat up on them because I really like their hub, but
well, it's like one of those annoying things. Like I've had a couple companies reach out to me to like, so I can use their like invoicing software or whatever. And they don't have like a mobile app, and they're like, well, you can just like use the website on your phone. And I'm like, I could, but it's not the same thing as like if you have an actual good app. Right. Like, and especially on a phone, like on a computer or whatever, like on my MacBook, do I really need the App Store? Not really. But on the phone, it's like the easiest way. And you have to make like an attractive app.
The first review that comes up on their app.
Oh boy. No, don't. Let's can we edit this out of the show?
It's a good review. It's a good review.
Stop.
The guy said, "Thank you for the start. This is great. The app displays the dashboard content, much like if you pin a web shortcut on your home screen. The app seems a little bare bones at the moment. The real thing is focus on, there is now an app." It's like exclamation mark. And this is from 2019.
Yeah.
3 stars. They didn't give it 5. They were very excited about it. And then it's like the CSS on the hub and app could both use a little help. Like that's like, as you get further into this, it's like, but again, thank you for making something that works. 3 stars.
For the longest time, they did not have an app, and they did not want to release an app. But people were demanding an app, like, and not just a web app. And they eventually came out with an app, and then people started bashing it. And it's like, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, like,
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. You know, there were, yeah. It just needs a facelift. That's all. The rest of the underlying is all like very powerful.
4 stars, better than Wink.
Is it Wink dead? Is Wink still alive?
Oh, it's too good. Oh man. Well, yeah, I'm not going to beat up on Habitat. Interface is a hard thing to do, and especially if you have different phones and all sorts of sizes, you got to keep up with that stuff. And that's not, if they're not focused on that. What they're focused on is making a hub that works and has all these cool integrations. And then you do what you want.
Centering tiles is tough. Like, you laugh, but it's tough getting the right number of pixels on each side.
It probably is. I will say it's probably harder than I'm saying, but it's like, just that seems like it probably, I would have chosen a different picture to put on my home screen of my.
Well, and they're different products aimed at different markets, right? Like, you're not going to recommend Habitat to a normal person, like, right? You're gonna, if somebody like tech savvy and they're a little nerdy and whatever else, you might recommend them Habitat. But the Homey Pro, that could be anybody. That could be your grandma.
Yeah, I mean, the interface does look slick, nice, pretty. All the like switching back and forth between lights, heating, audio, it's all really well. I will say, Gavin, they definitely have Home Assistant beat on the audio interface on their app. Like, Homey Pro looks like the native iOS thing with the beautiful background artwork and everything. And then if you go look at Home Assistant, it's like,
you could get that. Home Assistant.
I mean, you could.
You see, this is the thing is they're comparing it to the stock. You know,
yeah.
But you could get the Sonos. You could get the Sonos card, which does all this in the Home Assistant dashboard. That looks really pretty.
Stock in Homey.
Well,
right. Their argument is that you have to add everything for Home
from
Assistant.
hacks. Yeah. Okay. So you know, like there you go. You know, you could get all this stuff, but it takes a little bit more work, I guess.
It's like building a custom car or going to the dealership. Like, yes, you could build a super fast hot rod. That's what Home Assistant is, though, right? You have to build it. I mean, you build it and you customize it and you tweak it and everything like that. It's a custom car at that point.
And you love that custom car because you built it.
And literally nobody else does because they're like, well, that's Gavin's thing over there. Don't touch it.
Yeah, but it's a one-of-a-kind custom car made.
That's true. That's true.
Some those bucket seats fit my ass. That's all that matters.
If anybody else sits on it, it ejects you right out.
Yeah, I don't care if it's not comfortable to you because it works for me.
It's for me.
It leans all the way back.
One thing that, I mean, I guess both Homey Pro and Habitat kind of have going for them, and I guess Home Assistant to an extent, but it's different. They're open platforms. So like you can write like you said, you can write all these integrations. You can go in and do something different. You can write a lot of like customizations on these. They all have that. That's really good. Home Assistant does too. I think the biggest difference between the like these paid platforms, the open platform, and open source, there's a huge difference there. Open source is like community developed. It has its pros and cons. Although Home Assistant is kind of led by one person, like that kind of sets the direction and tone and that kind of thing. He does a great job of that, I think. Yeah. I mean, he does a great job as far as like product management and that kind of thing. That's very hard to do. A lot of cats to wrangle there. So everybody probably has their own passion project coming to the table on that one. But like at least it's had good leadership there at Home Assistant for the past 10 years. I will say that. So just a little bit different in the way those two, I guess 3 companies are set up. Because if you go over to like HomeKit, it's like, well, now you got to write an app that has to live on your iPhone and you have to directly interact with it. Or you got to write like these shortcuts in the Siri thing, in the shortcuts app that are just a pain.
Yeah.
So like this is, I would say all 3 of these systems, depending on what you want to do, are probably better than most of like the native integrations that you get with like Apple and Google and that kind of thing.
And HomeKit's like iOS centric, right? Like it's Apple centric in a way. If you have an Android phone, you can't.
You're not going to use it,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
you cannot.
I was say, does Homey Pro have an Android app?
I was just looking at that too because all their pictures are from
iOS. I would hope so.
Better
iOS and it says iOS and Android. So
yeah, I see it on the App Store.
Okay,
3.1 stars. So not very good.
Just a bunch of squares. All right. Well, good discussion. Really cool product.
Not new, but
I don't have $400 to throw at it, but like it seems like a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better than what else is out there right now for normal people. So
right. We just need someone to solve the remote control issue, and then we'll be good to go. This has IR on it, so get this decent remote, RF remote, something.
You get an Ava remote and this Homey Pro, you're good to go.
We still have a year before Harmony goes under, so I mean. We'll figure that out.
One, man.
Well, by that time, you'll just switch to Apple TV full time.
You'll be a full blown integrator, getting that sweet $29 billion a year. All right. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/463. All right, nothing in the mailbag. We do have a pick of the week, and this one is timely and has to do with Christmas lights and is freaking hilarious. It's a Clark Griswold Christmas vacation decoration dummy. And it starts off innocently enough. This guy has made a decoration that looks like, it's made out of PVC pipe. It's kind of ingenious how it works. It's kind of like wiggles back and forth, and he's got it like padded out. He dresses it up and sticks it on the side of his house to recreate the famous scene of Clark Griswold hanging his lights and falling off the side of his house while he's doing it. Innocent enough, but the problem is his neighbors didn't know he was doing that, and they called the fire department because there's a guy who's been hanging off the roof all morning. Can't get back up. So this poor guy's going to fall off any second. The fire department rolls up. They don't know what to do. This thing's just this thing's just like wiggling back and forth on the roof. It is so funny. There's a fire truck pulling.
It's really well made.
It looks real.
realistic.
Yeah, it looks so real. And yeah, I would probably call 911. Well, you know what? As a neighbor, if I saw this, I wouldn't call 911. I'd run over and try and catch them if they were falling. Like, I'm not going to sit there watching them fall and then wait for the police to arrive. I'd go actually help, run over with my ladder and put it up or something. Like,
Or the ladder that's there, like lean it back up. Hey, you all right, buddy?
Move the ladder over. I know. Like, talk about not
Spray 'em
talking
with
to your
water.
neighbor. It's like, oh my God, he's going to fall. Let's call 911. You know, like,
I'm not helping that jackass.
yeah.
He's gonna fall anyway.
He looks like he can hold on, you know.
He deserves the fall.
His lights keep me up all night. Oh, they're banging.
I told him to stop syncing him with the music.
I'd be more mad at my neighbors for that, you know. If you saw me about to fall, you're going to call 911 instead of come over and help me. You know, that's what I would be more mad about.
I'm cutting your internet off, Gertrude.
They're just hedging their bets there, Gavin. It's like, well, he's gonna fall. I'm not gonna make it. I'll just call 911. It'd be better for both of us.
He'll survive. He'll bounce.
By the time they get here, he'll be laying on his back, you know, neck broken. But you know, at least they'll be there to help him. That's too good. Well, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, pics of crazy. There are some crazy, more and more crazy Christmas light displays and holiday light displays that have gone up, even around town here. Right? The technology is simplified and very easy for people to get their hands on these days. So if you have any pics of that, send it to me. I really like that. The email address is feedback@hometech.fm, or you can visit hometech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, project updates here. Gavin, we have Home Assistant 2023-12 has been released, and I think that means that the year of the voice is done, and I should be able to yell at my Home Assistant and make it. I don't think it does anything in my house, unfortunately.
No,
I think it's just read.
It
just reads things. I don't ever make it control anything.
But no, 2023.12 was released this week or last week officially. It's mainly just a lot of UI updates this time. So they're clean. You know, we're talking about interfaces and stuff. They're making things look better. So I mean, Homey Pro should update their website with new pictures from their from their thermostat
You know,
control,
honestly,
because they updated
they
their
should.
thermostat. You know, like that's what I'm saying.
This looks a lot better.
Yeah,
it looks a lot
they've
better.
really made some things look a lot nicer. So when you look at advertising, you got to wonder how old their pictures are, because they probably are showing you the worst of a product. But yeah, go update, because, you know, even though 2023-12 was released, I think there were two updates to that since anyway. So, and then make sure you always check, because you'll probably have 4 other things in the pipeline that need updating as well after you update to 2023.12. So yeah, it's a good update. It's the end this week. I believe they're having the Year of the Voice, the final chapter. So they'll be wrapping up, you know, the Year of the Voice, talking about, you know, what we did and, you know, the future. It's not the end of voice control. It's just the end of their, like, you know, they focused on it this year, but it's going to be continuously being developed going into next year. And I think next year they're going to find something else to focus on. I don't know if it'll be Year of the Matter, but I know they're talking about they're going to be having a big Matter, you know, presentation in either January or February. I can't remember what they said. So they'll be doing a lot of Matter focus next year. So we'll see how that goes. And I see Seth doing an update right now, live as we record in the background.
Going from 11.3.
Wow, you're far. Oh, damn, you're so far behind. Yeah. Well, there you go. At least you keep up to date more often than a lot of people, only because every week you do your update when we record our show. So that's good. I keep you up to date.
Yeah, it's doing its thing. I think there's 2 updates on there I have to do. The other one is the VM or whatever that has to get updated.
Yeah.
Lots of bug fixes on this, lots of changes, and again, my queue has been removed finally.
Yeah, officially.
Officially.
And my favorite update on this is the error reporting for YAML. Like, as dumb as it sounds, it actually shows you the right file and right line. You know, when you get an error. We talked about this.
Yep. Yeah, tools are needed, especially on this kind of stuff where you don't get support. So you need tools. Matter. There's no support. You need tools. But
none for you.
Well, I mean, they'll get there one day. Give them 10 years, I guess.
Yeah.
The new thermostat pages do look much better than what was before.
It just takes time. It's not easy.
All right. And we did have a couple of other Home Assistant updates in here. Home Wizard works with Home Assistant, and Home Wizard's like energy management or energy monitoring.
A Dutch company, I believe. And
yeah,
they monitor electricity, gas, water. Yep. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It ties in now Home Assistant. I believe it's all local too. That's a key thing with it too, local control. So that's really nice.
Not that many of those that are local for energy monitoring.
Yep.
Well, I think, isn't that a requirement of Works with HomeKit? Or Home Assistant, sorry. Isn't it?
I don't know if that's a requirement that you have to be local. I don't think
that is a requirement.
I think it just means
that there's like a direct integration.
Yeah. And support like from the company.
Yeah, they have to be able to like contact you to tell you about issues and stuff like that.
Makes sense. And then another big announcement here, Silicon Labs partners with Nabukasa to support the open source project Home Assistant. So that's pretty big. I mean, that's the same company that makes Z-Wave and Zigbee and Thread and
Matter.
Other ones Matter. So yeah, literally everything. So yeah, that's really cool that they have now like basically partnered with Nabukasa, who's making it's kind of like the paid arm of Home Assistant that is making the Home Assistant yellow and all that stuff, right? So this is where the money kind of goes. And if you can't talk to someone in an open source project on some of these things, like you have to have sometimes a business entity to talk to make these business deals. And so this is great. Like it makes sense that Nabukasa exists and that they can make these arrangements with these larger companies that are definitely using a lot of their products.
And I think they've probably gotten noticed more from Silicon Labs because it seems like every time they announce something related to hardware, it gets sold out. So when they were talking about the Atom Echo little thing for, playing with their voice, stuff, that thing was sold out instantly. It started getting, it's still hard to get one of those, right? When they mentioned the garage door, the, what was it? The,
Rat GDO.
Yeah, the Rat GDO. When they announced that thing just went instantly into sold out, back ordered, et cetera. And then even with their yellow and their greens and stuff like that, like trying to get those took a long time because they kept getting sold out. So I just feel like every time they mention something, the following, it just gets sold out. And Silicon Labs is probably like, yeah, it was a great partnership to be in because they obviously can sell stuff, right? And they can help us sell our chips.
Right.
Well, and it's probably the biggest congregation of people that use their products as well that will actually give them feedback. Like Z-Wave isn't like a ton of security products and stuff like that, but a security installer, if they have a problem with like a Z-Wave product or they want a feature or something added, they're probably not going to tell anybody. Like, who are you going to contact? Like your rep or something?
They'll have to be manufacturer dependent on them implementing it. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I like that totally makes sense that this is a thing. And, because they're going to get all kinds of feedback and, ideas and stuff like that from the Home Assistant community because that's their largest population, I would assume.
Yep. I agree. My Home Assistant, I guess the OS needed an update and it's rebooting. So we've taken a while this week, but I think I'm going to be fully updated, both the OS and the Home Assistant application. I'm excited to see this new login screen and all that good stuff.
I'm proud of you.
It's nice. Yeah, there we go. All right, Gavin, you got some projects. What's going on? Did you made a discovery this week?
Well, first, I finally got around to tearing down the rack, redoing it all.
Yeah, we saw a picture.
Oh my God. I did. I got up early on Saturday. I'm talking like 6 o'clock in the morning to shut down the house and tear everything out and put it. And one of the reasons why was one of the wheels broke on the bottom. So, I pulled everything out, flipped the rack upside down, fixed the wheel, banged it back in. Everything looked good. I put it all back together. Put everything back in the rack, and then I was wiggling it back into place and the wheel broke again. So I'm like, that really drove me nuts. I'm going to have to I'm going to custom build something to put it on wheels, like a little dolly or something like that. But, and all the bonus is I cleaned up all the wiring, my power cables, I got proper length power cables, out of, advice from TJ. I got some finger ducts for the back to hide wires and stuff like that. And, I have all my power down one, using little hooks and stuff. So it feels good that it's all like cleaned up now. It's not just a jumble of wires. It actually is presentable now. For the moment, and I still have I have some more wiring I want to clean up coming, what I have coming down from the roof to my switch. I got to clean that up before I take any pictures and share it with the crew. But I'm happy with what I have. I freed up a lot of use by moving power around and stuff like that to add more stuff. I don't know what I'm going to add, but I have some space now to add more stuff and it feels good. But one of my discovery, and this was like, I can't believe I never noticed this before, but I always thought the holes in the rack are all evenly spaced. They're not. I never really thought about this, but in one U, it has like 3 holes, but those are evenly spaced. But from one U to the second U, it's not evenly spaced. Like, it's hard to explain, and I never really realized that. Now I have to go look at my rack and make sure I didn't put any in like the half U area. Like, I know there were times when I was like shifted down one or something like that. Now I'm like, did I shift it down one? And that's why it wasn't going in properly, and being a pain. But I never knew that with the rack. They're not evenly spaced. That's just, as a regular guy that doesn't do this for a living, like this is like a mind blown, like, so like, after all that frustration, some rack studs ended up in my shopping cart on Amazon just to make things easier, because I'm getting fed up of those cage nuts dropping and, like
hurting your thumbs.
Hurting your thumbs and your screw dropping. And when it drops, you got to figure it out. It rolls over into the corner where the spider web is. And you're like, so I got some.
Gotta get a new screw now.
Yeah. So many screws are sitting in the corner because I ain't going near it, right? It's like, it's almost like, take care of the screw, it was nice knowing
nice
you.
Knowing you. I'll find you the next time I take everything apart.
I have backups, sorry,
Still in with the house.
Yeah. The next owner is going to be like, where are all these screws in the corner? Yeah.
There's like a million rack screws here.
But the rack studs look so cool. If you are doing a rack, like they look good and they're really easy to work with. So you might want to look at getting some yourself.
I can't believe Seth didn't have this domain, rackstuds.com.
Oh, I think I tried to get that. What did we talk about that earlier?
Yeah.
We had some kind of rack.
I never did register it, but we did talk about, I think one of our episodes was rack studs.
A while ago.
Yeah. But yeah, I put a little link into our show notes about the standardized spacing, I guess, brought by AT&T way back in 1922. So yeah, the 1U is 1.75 inches, 1 3/4 inches. And the rack holes are spaced. The 2 that you would normally use are spaced 1 1/4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one hole that pops up, 0.625 inches in the middle of those 2. And yeah, it's just barely off. And then the next one is 1/2 inch down.
Yeah.
Like 1, 2, 3, 1/2 inch down. So it's like, yeah, it's off by like, what is that?
Quarter of an inch?
Or quarter of an inch? No, it's not a quarter.
Well, is it one?
Is it quarter? 1/8 of an inch. I hate this. Like it. Also, we have the millimeters on here. So if this is if you're listening to us and going, what are they talking about? What is this 0.75? There's millimeter measurements on here as well.
It's like, why didn't they just make all the whole standard distance from each other and work with that? But no, that would have been too easy. Yeah,
inches were involved, and this is what we get out of it. They could have been like 200 millimeters away, like the TV mounts, where it's like.
Yeah. 200,
400, 600, 800, done.
Bam.
Nope. Can't deal with that.
So is this an American rack, but everywhere in the world is even?
No, this is, it's all the same. It's EIA 310 specification for the 19-inch racks.
Okay.
It's been a standard for equipment for 50 years.
Well, I learned something new today, so I just wanted to share that with the world or the people listening to this podcast.
The world, obviously.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody listens. We're basically like Tom from MySpace.
If after hearing this you went to go check your rack, let me know, because that's the first thing I did. Is as soon as I heard this, I went down to my rack with my my ruler, and I checked them all. I was like, it is right, it's off. So
yeah. Sometimes you get off, and you're like you're trying to put a device in or something, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's 2 random holes that are unequally spaced.
Yeah.
And it doesn't line up. Yeah.
That's so annoying.
And you'll like some of the nice racks will put a little marker, like either an indentation or a printed line that rubs off easily, like where your rack faceplates are supposed to end. That full 1.25 or whatever it is, 3.5, 5.25, 7-inch, like depends on how big the equipment is. But some of them put a little mark there, and you can line it up on both sides, but not all of them. And a lot, like the one you and I have, I think didn't you get the Sysrax version?
Yes.
Yeah. So you and I have this basically the same rack.
Yep.
And yeah, they don't give you any of that. Like you're just, you got to count.
Free for all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. I'm at U17, but at the top line above the 17. And then I go to the other side and I think the same way. U17 but above. Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned something new.
There you go. Well, I think I learned something new, or maybe something I should have thought of before this weekend. I went traveling again, and we were staying in Orlando at a hotel, and I used my little Roku because we were staying more than one night. I will put my little Roku in, and we'll have like TV. We can watch movies and catch up on things from the house. And I got my travel router, everything all hooked up. It's all working great. We watched part of a movie, turned it off, went out for the day, came back, and the Roku just wouldn't turn on anymore. Like, no idea why. So I think my theory is I haven't actually had a chance to break out the Roku and see why it doesn't power or wasn't powering on or producing a signal. But I think I was using the USB output on the TV, and I think that's not enough power. Yeah.
Usually it pops up and tells you, though. It's like a little lightning symbol or something that pops up and it's like, not enough power.
It might have done that during the day sometime, but we weren't, we weren't there.
Like turned off or whatever.
Yeah. But it basically lasted all night. We left the screensaver on with the little Roku thing going around. So I don't know. Maybe it took an update or something and it was like, well, wait a minute. I don't have enough juice and decided to not boot up anymore. But it's one of the $30 versions of Roku. It's got a little USB micro thing on it, I guess.
Yeah, micro USB.
I just need a long USB extension cord.
I think they still use that. So
yeah,
they have not switched to USB-C yet.
They have not. I was at Walmart and I checked because they had a bunch of them. Some of them were out. Like I could have just walked out with one. Come to think of it, because like the box was open. It was the Roku stick thing, and it was just sitting there. And I opened it. Like all of them were in like these protected boxes that prevent you from stealing them. This one was just sitting there, and I opened it up and looked at it inside. Yeah, they come with a longer cable, but I have like for my travel, and I just kept like a 6-inch cable, so I could plug it in the back of the TV. It's always worked before. I guess didn't want to work this time, so I'll need to figure out a longer USB-C cable or something in the future.
It is tired of traveling. It's like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah. We were talking about the Apple TVs and bringing those traveling. It's like they're just so heavy. Like I really like the little Roku thing. It's got a remote. I can pop batteries in it. I don't have to worry about charging it. Like I have a set of AAA batteries in that little, what do I call it, a tech pack that I just toss in my bag every time we're leaving. It's got all of our chargers and everything in it. It's got all the stuff I need to like make the hotel room work without setting up all, my wife's phone on the hotel Wi-Fi, my phone on the hotel. Like, no, it all connects back to our house. We use a VPN, all the good stuff. And, the hotel can't spy on us. So yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Hopefully it boots back up and I didn't ruin it by leaving it plugged into this, awful TV that you couldn't turn motion smoothing off on. So horrible. Why they locked me out of the video controls, guy. Like I couldn't even change it. First world problems.
Is this country even free anymore?
All right, TJ, what have you been up to? I guess you did not put your sleaze lights on your truck. So
no, not yet. It's been a little cold and I haven't got the office completely cleared out. So that is on hold for now. But I went the complete opposite end of the spectrum and I spent the most money I've ever spent on a home automation product.
Oh, did you get a rack? Did you get
well, we're not going to count that. That's not home automation. That's infrastructure.
Infrastructure. All right.
Yeah. Like I'm not counting I guess I could count my robot vacuum, but that was only like $500. So my most expensive tech purchase so far is called the Litter Robot 4. And if you have cats, I'm assuming one of the worst things that you have to do with owning a cat is changing the litter box. Nobody likes to change the litter box, just like nobody really likes to pick up their dog poop, right? I mean, you do it because you're a reasonable human being and you live in a society, but you don't like to do it. And so I've been eyeballing this thing for like 4 or 5 years now. And they're crazy expensive. I think like the base model is like $800. You can buy like the older version, I think for around $600. But if you want the newest version with all the new fancy features and everything, it's like $800. And so I spent $800 on this litter robot. And it comes with a 3-year warranty. I've got 90 days to try it. So if the cat doesn't like it or she can't use it, then I can take it back. But it's pretty cool, honestly. I just got it set up yesterday. But I'm impressed with a couple things so far, right? I mean, obviously, doing the litter automatically is cool, but it seems like it's very easy to like actually clean, and it doesn't seem like there's a ton of moving parts. Basically, they have like a little cog on the. I guess I should back up a little bit. So there's like a cover that goes over this dome, and then you remove the cover. And then you can take this little dome out, and that's where the actual litter sits and everything like that. And so you can easily spray it off and everything. So, you know,
you can like get it out and pressure wash it if
right. I mean, because obviously it's going to get gross after a while. I mean, it's litter and everything else, so it's going to get gross. You're going to need to clean it, and so you can just take it right out. You take the whole globe out, you spray it down and everything. But it seems like a very simple like mechanical design. On the back of the globe, it's like basically a cog. And then there's a motor in the base, and it just turns the whole thing. Oh, and if you've never seen this, you should watch a video, because it is kind of cool how it works, because basically the litter sits at the bottom, and then once the cat uses the restroom, you can set it up to different cycle times. So it can wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes to cycle, and then it basically just rotates the whole globe. And as it rotates, the litter goes into like this little catch basin thing. And then the solids just fall to the bottom and go into like this wastebasket. And it's just like, it's a super simple design. It makes total sense once you look at it.
Yeah. It kind of does the sifting for you. And yeah.
And so, we just got it yesterday. We put it in the room with the litter box yesterday because I was like, well, she is not going to use this right away. Like, she hates the robot vacuum and some of the other automation stuff. So we'll just put it in the same room. That way she can start getting used to it. She'll use the restroom next to it and everything. And then this morning, I took out the old litter box. I was like, all right, well, you've had, 12 hours to adjust. We're going in with it.
Hey, go in. Yeah.
And she held it in all day. She did not go near it. She was not interested at all. But while we were recording the show just a little bit ago, and I just want to point out, you did not hear it. I don't think you did, at least.
No, didn't.
But she did use the restroom while I was in here, and it did cycle, and it was very quiet.
Very nice. Very nice. It's quieter than my rack fans, I guess, because I did not hear it.
Home automation at its finest.
Yeah. What's funny is you could tie this in with Home Assistant. There's a cloud integration. I don't think it's an official one, but there's a cloud integration.
Of course.
And so you can have it do whatever you want, like when it cycles and everything. And so I set up an automation because why not? As soon as the cycle starts, starts sifting the litter and everything, it comes across all my speakers and say, Thunder has finished shitting. So, that's the only automation I've done so far, but there's possibilities there.
I mean, you went from having like this quiet sift feature to having like an announcement played out over all the speakers in the house.
I was really just trying to embarrass her, It's
I'm going to do that for when the wife finishes, like have applause over the solo speakers.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you use one of the I
hear you pee
detectors, presence detectors, and set those up in the bathroom. Yeah.
Oh yeah. As soon as she stands up, it's like, hey,
good job. You did it.
Oh, that's too good.
No, but this thing is great so far. I mean, it seems like she's going to start using it. So hopefully that means I don't really have to do litter anymore.
Hey, well, yeah. That's it says never scoop again. That is their registered trademark,
and the app is like really good. I mean, which is, pretty rare for apps these days, it seems like, but the app works. I mean, setting it up was super simple. I just scanned the QR code and it worked almost instantly. It tells you, how much waste is in the container. It tells you how much the cat weighed, the last time they used the restroom. So it gives you some basic stats and everything like that.
Oh,
it doesn't and it tells you the history too. So, I mean, you could technically track, how often your cat goes to the restroom. So that's kind of nice. There's no health readings in it or anything like that. I think it would probably be way more expensive. But, if you notice that your cat has been going to the restroom, 20 times in a day or something, you'd be like, oh, well, that's a little weird. And then, take it to the vet.
They're just hanging out in there.
It's like, oh, I really like this place. It has this, it has 2 LED lights in it, which I think is hilarious. There's an LED light that shines on the entrance, and then there's an LED light that shines on the actual litter,
like a
the
cat
pool
needs
of litter. Right. That's what I was like, maybe
Fully
that's why she doesn't
nocturnal
like
animal.
it. She's like, I don't want my poop lit up. That's weird. I'm trying to hide my shame, and you guys are putting lights on it.
Yeah, exactly.
The most fascinating statistic I think you'll get out of that is the weight of the cat before and after. That's
true.
I'm so curious.
There's also not a weight limit on the Litter Robot 4.
Yeah, there's not, which is good because my Thunder weighs 16 pounds. She is a chonker, as they say on the internet.
Aptly named, I guess.
Yeah. So I think it's funny too, during the setup, ask you all kinds of questions about your pet and, what's your pet name and what's the weight and all that good stuff. But it asks you if it's for a cat or dog. And I don't know. I've never seen a dog use a litter box. I've seen a dog use like the little pee pads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a dog use a litter box.
You could
but I feel like it's just like a canned.
Yeah.
I feel like a dog could, yeah.
I feel like it's probably just like a canned thing though. Like they just have other pet toys that are like internet connected and they're just like, yeah, we'll just use the same setup. Doesn't matter.
Small dogs can, would be fine in there. Like if you have a little Yorkie or something.
Like your dog, Gavin.
Well, my dog's like a giant Yorkie, so he's not as small as like those teacup Yorkies, but...
Yeah, how much does he weigh?
14 pounds.
Oh, my Thunder weighs 16 pounds, so...
Well, yours is a chunker. Mine's fit, My dog's got a six-pack. Don't compare your chunker to my dog.
Hey, my cat could beat your dog up.
Probably, yeah, but still.
My cat could eat your dog.
Yeah, I know. But he could probably use it, yeah.
I guess you can train a dog to use a litter box. I'll put a link in the show notes to pedigree.com, which has a nice little article on how you may be able to train small dogs. But I guess it says, also keep in mind that dogs do not have the instinctive behaviors of cats. So using litter box and bearing their weight.
Well, and then the only other issue with dogs using a litter box is sometimes after they do their thing, they like to kick up the grass behind them.
Yeah.
And you're going to have that litter all over the place. He's going to kick it out the front door. Right.
Oh, well, my cat is basically the same way. She runs out of the litter box. It's like, I need to get away from this as fast as possible. And like litter is everywhere. And there's this little lip thing that they give you as well that goes in front of it to help prevent some of that as well.
Yeah. So we used to have one like that would just bolt out. It's like, I'm done here. And then you'd be like, what?
This smells awful. I need to get out of here.
Exactly. Why is she running like that? Oh, that's why. Oh, all right. Well,
man.
Good deal, TJ. I'm excited for you. Let us know what other integrations you come up with because it's
that's only one I've come up with so far, but I'm sure there's others. Maybe have it like flash my lights outside or something.
Yeah, like it'll turn on your Govee lights on your car or something.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Boop boop. Yeah.
Or like a scent spray, as soon as it's done, it does a little mist.
Oh, so that's my next project. I want to find like a connected sprayer thing.
Yep.
One of those like essential oils.
But I don't want like one of the super fancy ones where you like you can put like 20 different scents into it and then there's a subscription. Like I just want I don't know. I want to be able to like set it for whatever time I want. Like that's basically it. I don't know. Like it's a one
automated
scent, but
Febreze, as soon as she's done, it's a
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I need that for when I'm done using restrooms. So make it work for the cat, then I can get it for myself.
The poopery in bulk. Here's one on Amazon. It looks like it's an IR remote, so we'll work with your Homey, but not with your
get a Homey.
Assistant. Yeah.
All right.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes too if you're interested in automating
automating your poop.
There's so many good show titles this week I will not be using. So.
Oh man, we make it fun.
All right. Well, we do want to. I guess it's going to wrap up this week. Enough poop talk.
No more poop talk.
We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about the Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every single pledge gets you an invite to the private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and everyone else can get in there and help Jimmy make a home theater. It looked like today he was trying to make one. And of course he asked, and Owen's like, you need subwoofers. Like you just need lots and lots of subwoofers. That's the key to making any home theater these days, I guess.
I was waiting for the wall of subwoofers recommendation,
It was there. It was there.
When they say 7.1, they really mean 7 subwoofers and 1 speaker.
Yeah. Exactly. 1 center speaker.
Oh, theater design in 2023 is very interesting these days. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to know about that, come on over. But if you want to help out on the show but can't support financially, totally understand. Just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or positive rating the podcast app of your choice. That's going to wrap up another week of news here on HomeTech. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
Till next time.
Way to end it on some talk there.
Poop talk.
Poop talk. Yay.